Welcome to the first grade curriculum preview for the second 6 weeks. The reading expectations for the second 6 weeks are for your students to master independent reading at a text level E. That is a satisfactory. We really want to push our kids, and if you can get them here to level F, that would be amazing. So we need them to be reading independently for 15 to 20 minutes at a time. That means 300 minutes of independent reading and self-selected text and 300 minutes of guided reading. They need to be able to read all Unit 1 and 2 sight words. They need to read those in a snap, knowing them, knowing where they're coming to them and not sounding them out, but knowing them. They need to recognize when meaning breaks down and self-correct. They need to make and confirm predictions about what will happen next in this by retelling the part that tells, and reading independently with comprehension and fluency. So your reading workshop should be off and running. You should have your word study going right before reading workshop, about 10 or 15 minutes maybe, or less than that, really focusing on spelling and phonics and how words work. When you walk into and get into your reading workshop focus lesson, now you're going to start your guided reading groups this time of year. We'll talk about that a little bit. Independent reading is going along right here during independent practice with book boxes and other workstations that are practicing the focus skill that you've done, and then you'll move into reflection time. So let's take a look at the planning documents that we had for you. We have a new key focus lessons for you planning document that shows you what are the key focus lessons that you need to hit in reading and in writing. We also have a planning guide for you that you'll find in yearly content that is a calendar that helps you in your PLC to stop and jot and tell and show where you're going to use these. Right up here at the top it talks about the workstation, the focus lessons that you need to make sure that you are really fine-tuning this 6 weeks. So I hope you're using that planning document and it's helpful for you. Let's start with word study. In your word study, your Fountas and Pinnell book that has a month-by-month guide. It's on page 37. I would look at that and take a look, and now that you know your kids so much better and you know where they are, see if those lessons apply, and that you being a responsive teacher, which of those lessons apply, and work through those. Then also, here are the secure things that we want this 6 weeks. They are to know their single letters, the soft sound of C, the sound of S and X. You're going to secure long sounds of the vowels. You're going to have consonant blends, consonant digraph, CH, SH, and TH. They're going to secure consonant vowel consonant patterns with blends and digraphs. And you're going to read base words with inflectional endings. And then they're going to know 20 sight words in isolation and in context. So how are you going to get there in word study with spelling? Your document, your first grade word study is a pacing guide in week 7. It introduces the snap words. These are your sight words for the second 6 weeks. In week 8 and 9, you're doing one syllable vowel, consonant vowel words with the short O. Here's where you're introducing those consonant blends and like frog and those type of things. Then week 10, review of one syllable CVC words with short A, I, and O. And then week 11 and 12, one syllable CVC words with short U, including words with blends. So that helps you in filling out those and mastering those standards. The only thing you don't see there is maybe the digraphs and the long vowel sounds. In word work, we have an academic language that is in your overview, but now we have a new document that we have included the Spanish. You'll find that in yearly content, so you'll know. Also, you're going to continue to have 10 to 12 vocabulary words taken from mentor text that you're using and kids are working with. So now let's talk about the focus lessons that you are going to need to secure and have this 6 weeks. In your overview, they start on page 6. And so one of the first things you're going to do in your planning is that you're going to do the stop and check strategy. And it is on page 6 in your overview. You're going to make sure that you have focus lessons that help kids to understand, when I'm reading, is it making sense? Are they using the strategy of cross-checking the meaning of text with pictures? You're going to model and practice using important parts to retell the story. You're going to model and practice reading the pictures to make inferences and draw conclusions that extend the meaning of the text. So those are some key focus lessons that you are going to use: modeling with poetry, informational text, narrative, mentor text, showing kids those habits that they need to do in their reading. Another thing that's not in the overview is your comprehension toolkit lesson. If you've not used that yet, you might want to open up Strategy Book 1 and do Lesson 1, thinking about the text, because it goes along with stopping and checking. So take a look at that lesson, and you might want to use the model lesson and then use the guide lesson and rinse and repeat with other types of genre. The next thing you want to do, if you're looking at the bottom of page 6, is you're going to model fluency using poetry. We've given you several resources and a link to get the poetry that you're using, or use your nursery rhymes. Continue looking at that and enjoying poetry with kids weekly. You might want to introduce what a good reading response looks like using the tic-tac-toe Rate Your Book. That is in the curriculum. You'll find that in yearly contents. That's one of the first ones. Remember, these are the held loosely. We are just giving those to you to help you to not have to work so hard, but that's one that you would introduce using a book, showing them how to do it. You're going to do a focus lesson with the anchor chart using the Everything Says Something, and you'll look in your overview to see how you would focus and get that lesson detailed. You need to make sure that you are using close reading, 3 kinds of thinking, using them with informational text, realistic fiction, poetry, all the genres. You're going to focus on how pictures and text work together. So that's really your focus of that lesson. So that is your focus lessons for the 6 weeks. Now let's talk about independent reading. How are we going to get kids independently reading and get them to a level E? So it's through their independent reading and also through their guided reading. So what does independent reading look like in first grade right now? You've just started your guided reading, so probably their book boxes might not be as plentiful as you want, but you might need to start looking at putting, now that you know where their levels are, finding books that they can independently read and that they can do a response with while you're doing guided reading. Tony Steed has a great resource. It's called Good Choice. Here are some reading responses. So I've given you the link to that great document. He has shared all of his responses with them, so that's something that's really great that you might want to take a look at. The tic-tac-toe reading responses. Once again, I want to tell you that this is held loosely, but it's there for you to help you to do a focus lesson and then have students do this in the book that they are self-selecting to use those with. Your guided reading you should be getting going with this now that you've had the VOI, in the Universal Screener, where your students are, you have their groups. So you'll be needing to get your next step in guided reading out, looking at if you have an early reader, what are the characteristics that shows the behaviors on those pages 106 to 143. If you might have a pre-A, you might need to go back to pre-A and make sure that those things are in place. But that is a step-by-step on how to build that guided reading. Also, the link is here for the lesson plans that you're going to use. So just make that easy on yourself and use those resources. So where do you get the books? At your campus, you have a leveled library. Now that you know every level of each group, you'll need to take that level, whether it be a Fountas and Pinnell level, if it's a level E, and you need, your level library is done in DRAs, then you take a correlation chart and get some great books for your kids to read in your leveled library. You also have your reading A to Z, where you go to the leveled books and click on the D, and you're going to find that you have all these different types of genres to work with kids on. You're going to enjoy that. Make sure you use a combination of both of those, because you want real books and then the printed books in kids' hands. One of the things you'll want to put in place now that it's up is Raz Kids. That will be a fantastic workstation, because it will level put your kids in. You will put your kids in where they are at their independent reading level, and then they will have ebooks that will take them through, and they'll be able to take quizzes. Your academic coaches will be able to help you with that resource. Now let's take a look at writing. We want kids to be at a stage strong 4. So they're expected to use pictures and text to retell a personal experience or give information about the area of expertise. Are you noticing that the same things in reading that we are asking in writing? So then they need to be at a stage 4 in ideas, development ideas, and in conventions. So how are we going to get them there? Once again, you have your writing workshop. You have it in place. That is where they are. You have a focus lesson, and they are independently writing, and you are individually conferencing with students. That means you're walking the room. Right now, we're not sitting at a back table conferencing with kids. We are walking the room, taking anecdotal notes on what each child is. Spend 1 or 2 minutes with them. You're looking for ideas about what to teach in your focus lessons, what you're seeing that they might need more help on, and then you're also looking for the smart moves those kids are making, because those smart moves are what you're going to use on your reflection time to celebrate what they're doing well. So your key focus lessons, you'll notice that once again you look in your unit overview and you're looking at what are some of the focus lessons that we need to do. Stop is one of the routines that is extremely important to teach your kids, because it teaches them how to edit and revise and proofread what they're doing. Okay, we have that in stop is for English, pair is for Spanish. So look at your page 6, and it really talks about how you're going to use stop. Also in the key focus lesson, you'll see that what we've done with the S here, this is what you're going to be teaching about the S in stop. Anticipate questions a reader may have and use them to generate ideas about a topic. So you're going to do some lessons on how to generate ideas about what they're writing about. Then the T is you're going to introduce stop, and then you're going to extend meaning through pictures and text. The overhaul part of this is you will take a writing and that has some general words, and you're going to replace it with more specific language, teaching kids that sometimes we need to just take and make language more specific. With the P part, you're going to be looking and mastering the pronoun capitalization of I, and then the capitalization of proper nouns. So those are very important. Now, standing on the shoulders is something that is extreme. That routine is, and what that means is reading text, mentor text that helps students generate ideas about that. I found a great resource for you. It's 45 Fabulous Mentor Texts. When you click on this link right here, it takes you to what are some mentor texts that teach different skills. So I hope that resource is good for you. You are going to reinforce gap stopper with them and make sure that they are using that in their writing. And now is when you're going to introduce that 12-stage rubric. And then I want you to refer to the document, First Grade Introduction to the 12-Stage Writing Rubric. You have now probably at this time are in the process of grading the BOI. So kids are going to know exactly where they are. In the overview, it kind of talks about how you would walk them through that. So this is a great way to use that BOI and show them where they are and ask them where do they want to grow as a writer using that. So that ends, that is at the end of what we're doing in writing workshop. So I hope that this has helped you. If you need more help with things, ask your academic coaches or give me a call and I'll come out and help you.